Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So, of course, it's March 21st, which means we have our reveal for Avatar Legends Realms Collide, the upcoming mobile game. So, they've promoted, basically, since they've put up stuff for the past 3 weeks, the idea that this would be a big reveal, a big announcement. This is when things is finally starting. And we've got the post, but it's actually not that much. And I'm not gonna over exaggerate it, just because my honest reaction when I saw this was like, cool, but you promised a big reveal and I don't really feel this is quite a big reveal. Because as you can see here, immediately it's changed into now it's a sneak peek. Whereas I really felt like you were going to open the gates on this game and actually show us what it's about. But I think, of course, people are still going to have a million questions coming out about this, because it's only a 20-second clip, none of which is gameplay. And it's basically just a character introduction on a character that we've already kind of seen already. So just on that kind of communication side of things, I would immediately just be like, feedback to the game. You need to be better about communicating about this sort of thing. That this is not the big reveal that you kind of think it is. And I would be much more clearer about stuff. Like when you say more details very soon, what do you mean by that? To me, you should be like making that very clear. Like, is there another reveal coming later on today? Because I thought we were told that the announcement was actually going to be a little bit later than it has ended up actually being. Does this mean tomorrow? Is it another 3 weeks? That sort of thing. Just be clearer about what's actually happening here, because the problem that they've had on the Discord is that people are coming in and being like, oh, something's happening on the 21st. Is that when the game comes out? Like, that's how little information is out there about this game, that people don't even know the basic information, and this is definitely causing some issues overall. So yeah, what this is, it is the this is the reveal of the leader of the Barbarian Death Cult, the kind of enemy faction in the game, and this is Chanyu here, and I'll get into the video in just a second. But I do want to just highlight that one, their official Instagram is now live. I'll have that linked below if you want to check it out. But I do also want to highlight that we have seen Chanyu before. So in some of the Google Play screenshots, of course, you can see here Chanyu is here, as well as Fuzhi. And obviously the idea is these are your characters here defending your base, and these are the enemy factions, which we basically knew were the barbarian members. And Chanyu, just because he has the sort of spirit attack kind of swirl thing going on here, was obviously heavily implied to be the kind of main one of them. The other thing is on the Facebook is that they did eventually show off this newer screenshot, which isn't up on Google, where you can see more characters. So there's this character here, Borte, who's another Barbarian Death Cult member. But again, you can also see Chanyu here leading the attack as well. Now, obviously, this is more of an in-depth kind of video to a certain degree, just because we know so little about it. But it still doesn't really present that much information. So I'll open up the video here so you can see it in reasonable quality. So let me get back to the start here. And yeah, it just says coming soon. So let's kind of just go through this and see what we see here. So straight away, obviously, Barbarian Death Cult member Chanyu, clearly spirit possessed, because of course we know that they worship an evil dark spirit, of course. Interestingly, of course, it's coming through as green, which should immediately make you think of a very specific spirit, of course. But anyway, you can see here, as you go through the kind of little temple kind of sequence here, you can see, I guess this is Borte here. That is that Fuzhi? Does that look like the character from this shots here? No, it doesn't. Not quite, anyway. Yeah, no, because this character here clearly has some sort of a mustache, and I don't think that character does, but it might have gone through a redesign or something like that, because again, that character's like shirtless. Maybe that's what this character is like. when that actually happens. But anyway, you can see they're in front of their, I guess, temple where I guess the spirit actually is, and you can see all the kind of cult members kind of coming out. There is their symbol, of course, which is kind of interesting. As we go through, you can see here the armies coming in, highlighting, of course, that this is going to be the way the game works, of course, as you can see from the screenshots. Clashing kind of armies and stuff like that is definitely got across pretty well. I'm assuming this is just meant to represent a somewhat generic base rather than like an actual location. But then we get Aang here, which is interesting because, again, we can't necessarily say for sure that this is Aang canonically confronting the barbarian death cult because we don't have any details surrounding where it's set. We know that there's going to be characters from like the Aang era, the Korra era, potentially like Kyoshi era and stuff like that. Like they at least from the screenshots have those avatars included here. Roku's in here. So if you're going to be able to do that, that suggests that, you know, there's crossover of eras, which is obviously something that doesn't canonically fit in with the story as we know it. So the question is, how much of this game's story is canonical versus how much of this is just a story premise for this type of game to actually have something going on? They're the questions that I think a lot of people really do want to know. Is you need to just be very detailed canonically and say, what era is this game set in? The barbarian death cult, like Chanyu, what era is he born in? Is he an Aang era character or a Korra era character? That's the question that we have here. So you can see here Chanyu being confronted by Aang, of course. And you can see here kind of further some of the ideas of like he obviously has some sort of tattoos. Now, are these because of some sort of spirit possession type thing, or we're not really sure, but you can also see some kind of purple kind of aspects coming out here. Again, if you know your spirits, I think we all know the spirit that this is highly likely to be behind all of this. I don't think it's really too much of a surprise, especially if you focus here on this. The way Chanyu's eye ends up looking a lot like a certain powerful spirit's eye, especially with the one piece of art we've actually seen of that spirit, has the kind of almost like pincer-like things kind of coming down. Of course, so like Father Glowworm like feels like effectively, I would say, borderline confirmed just with the visuals that we have going on here. Seems like pretty clear cut to me that that's what's going on here. But anyway, that is the entire trailer, and at least currently is what seems to be the reveal for today. Obviously, we basically knew a lot of this information just from the idea of like, okay, barbarian death cult worships an evil spirit. Now we have the name of the leader, but there's not too much information kind of there beyond this. So when are we going to get a further update on this is obviously the first kind of major question. And then there's just like a million other things of like, is there going to be a beta? A lot of people don't even know the basics of what this game is actually about. So like, how many characters are there here? What is the gameplay? What do the characters like do? Obviously, like you place them on the battlefield and stuff like that. There's a level up system, but what do you doing? Like, is it just that you activate these battles and it happens automatically based on the numbers? Are you choosing attacks? Like, there's some very, very basic stuff that is just not presented here at all. And I would definitely very much kind of suggest that they be a little bit clearer about, you know, creating countdowns of like 20 plus day countdowns to information reveals of like big reveal on the 21st of March, you know, this countdown has started, that sort of thing. And like they continued over the, especially on the Discord and stuff like that, continued with this of like reveal coming up soon, you know, remember this day, March 21st, there's a big surprise coming basically. And this is it. Like, it's not really much of a surprise because we've seen this character before. Like, in the grand scheme of things, there's not really that much like extra information here. You can see on the Facebook post that there's some extra questions asked. How did Chanyu lose his humanity? And I'm kind of like, well, did you say he lost his humanity? Like there's some basic information that's like, does this question mean that's the case. What drives his spirit to seek darkness? And it's like, the wording is a little bit weird there. How can you bring the knowledge of heroes together to unite against this formidable foe? More details and exclusive reveals coming very soon. And at least to me, I would immediately just be like, this needs to be like very soon. Like, to me, I would expect basically some sort of a follow-up, like almost like tomorrow, or more information today. That this shouldn't be like 3 weeks of waiting for the next pieces of information. You need to get the information out there sooner rather than later, and tell people just the basic stuff about, like, okay, you obviously don't have a release date in mind yet, but like, when are we talking here? Are we like a couple of months away from the release of this? Are we 6 months away? A year away? There's a lot of questions about that sort of thing that like are just in place, and they obviously have their kind of communication strategy in place, but it is very frustrating if you just want information on the game and there's just not really a lot here. And I think people have a million questions and none of them are really getting answered, at least just yet. So this is just a thing. This is advice from someone who focused a lot on Avatar Generations and was pretty involved in the community, is you need to get that kind of roadmap communication strategy in place as soon as possible. It took Avatar Generations a couple of months to really get going and have the kind of community communication done at the level that I think is required. It took a little bit too long for that to happen. This game has the opportunity to kind of be there from the off, so I hope they can kind of just course correct and be a little bit more open as we go forward, because people are going to have questions about the story of this, just what the gameplay is and everything, and you're going to need some detailed answers. And so I hope they utilize the community properly and stuff like that. I have got in touch with them on social media, so hopefully they'll be giving me some information maybe a little bit more directly, and I'll be able to, you know, give you maybe the more detailed information at some point whenever they decide to do their reveals. But certainly it's one of those ones where, like, my honest opinion on just this big reveal is that while it's cool, I think the animation is very, very cool, and if they have a lot of this for the story that they potentially have here, then absolutely cool and interesting. But this is just the premise that we've known about for months, since like the press release, you know, I was sent like at the end of last year. We've known that this is what it's about. This, to me, should have the reveal already in a way of who the spirit behind it is, even though I think it's pretty clear who it is, just from what's going on here. So obviously I'm absolutely going to give this game a chance. I'm going to put time in and put out videos about this game, because I think a game like this can offer a lot. I think we've all really missed Avatar Generations and the art and little story beats and some of the gameplay stuff that it offered. This game hopefully can offer that. It just needs to show what it's about kind of sooner rather than later. So they're my thoughts on the big reveal for Avatar Realms Collide. But in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.